Hello, and welcome to another episode of Setsuna's ending to the mini after story from White Album 2. So, where we last left off, it was Setsuna and Haruki. They are happily married and they're going to be moving into their own place. Very exciting. Setsuna's mom came to help them move, and it was just a nice, tender family moment, despite the small bickerings that they had. So, let's continue on. All right. I'm heading out. You understand? That promise you made is absolute. I know. I will definitely be back before 10 o'clock. Even if someone invites you out today, don't go drinking before you come home, got it? I don't think there's anyone who would invite a married man out today. And even if some kind of exclusive scoop comes in late tonight, don't go running off to cover it. I don't care what kind of pressure your seniors or editor-in-chief put on you, come home. I'll handle it the best I can. That's not what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to say yes. You must. If you don't come home before the end of the day, I'm going back to my family's house. Got it. I will absolutely, definitely come home. All right. See you later, darling. Yeah, see you later. Haruki making promises, always very scary. After this unusually long farewell, I gave Setsuna a light kiss on the lips, as usual. Today, Setsuna was in a mode that was significantly more fastidious than usual, and some might say irrationally insistent upon having her own way. But, there was nothing to be done about that. No, my tolerance level as her husband had nothing to do with it. Setsuna only entered this mode 3 times a year. First, on her birthday, February 14th. You could say that was only natural. Oh, it's hard to get over when you have been traumatized. And this is definitely a traumatizing day for Setsuna, having been betrayed on that day, left alone on that day. So yes, she's going to be different for the rest of her life, I would imagine. The second day was my birthday in April. Even though for me it wasn't anything special, just a day like any other. This was probably the day that she lavished the most on me. And the third day, that would be today, December 24th, Christmas Eve. For most lovers and married couples, it was about presents and dates, a heavily commercialized day, really. Which is true, especially in Japan. Christmas Eve is more important than Christmas Day. It's just a day to spend with usually your significant other. And you eat cake together, and you hang out together, and it's romantic. It's a couple's day, 1,000%. But for us, well, it was sort of a fateful day for a few years. We wore our eternal friendship at the hot springs up north, reached our final crisis at that hotel by the seaside, and once again began to slip out of sync with each other in that small European city. So, in a sense, it was a very important Memorial Day, with emphasis on my own wrongdoings. Man, Haruki. That's so tough to have 2 of the biggest holidays, 2 of the most pushed in your face holidays of the year be traumatizing for you. You know what I mean? If you got traumatized on November 6th, let's say, that's not so bad. But if you get traumatized on Valentine's Day, everybody goes crazy for a month talking about Valentine's Day, and it's man. Therefore, today of all days, I could not break a promise to Setsuna again. Before the end of the day, I would see Setsuna again. But before the end of the day, I would wish her a Merry Christmas. And before the end of the day, I would declare that Setsuna was the only one for me. Here goes. And so, before I reached the office, I renewed my fighting spirit one more time. It was the opposite of my usual determination to tackle my work, to hold an unshakable oath, not befitting a working adult. No, that's plenty befitting. Literally, all you have to do is go home after work. Why is this such a hard thing for you? Kitahara, I'm finished with this, so will you check it? Oh, and after that, if you wouldn't mind looking over this layout. Roger on both of those. Is what I would like to say, but unfortunately I can't. My work for today ends with what I have in front of me right now. When I happened to look up at the clock in the editorial department, I realized that it was already 8 p.m. In order to keep my promise to Setsuna, to be home by 10, I needed to wrap up my work before long. Now, what's with that response? You're our newest guy. Don't get smart. Being given that kind of flagrant attitude on Christmas Eve, of all nights, is pretty irritating. But my 2 seniors seemed to have plenty going on for Christmas this year, although it didn't seem to be anything related to this year. What is it, Kitahara? Itching to go home so that you and your gorgeous wife can cozy up for Christmas? Your wife's no joke, is she, Kitahara-kun? She's famous in the business world as the PR beauty of Knight's Record. I wonder how she got mixed up with a straight-laced guy like you. Well, he must not be that straight-laced. The teasing at work is good. I'm glad that Haruki has people like this in his life to be able to talk to on a slightly personal level. And also that he doesn't get so wrapped up in his own head, because Haruki's known to do that when he cuts himself off from other people. Machan, if I were to bring that to court, I could get a lot of settlement money. If you two have so time to waste. Now that should be so much time to waste. Rambling about nothing. Why don't you get going as well? Don't you have an appointment with your girlfriend or something, Matsuoka-san? Oh, come on. Hey, give me some advice here, Kitahara. I don't know. I'm just the new guy. Yes, but in the family world, you're my senior. I need you to give me your opinion. Please. Nah, I don't think my opinion would really be worth anything. Aw. Look, the truth is, I'm under some pressure from my girlfriend right now. And if I see her now, I'm going to be forced into a situation where I have to make a decision. Oh no, it's like past Haruki. Don't ask for help from him. He royally messed his decisions up. I'm not sure that I can be of much help, but apart from that, is it all right for you to be telling me about something this critical? She's invited me to her family's home for the start of the year. This is bad, right? If I go, that basically means everything is settled, right? Nah, you can at least go to her family's house. You know, you might end up sticking with her, and if you keep refusing, that might give a bad impression. Oh, I mean, if you're not ready for that stuff, you need to be honest with her. You can't just keep avoiding it. Because if you're avoiding it, it's clearly for a reason. But I'm not even remotely in that frame of mind yet. I mean, I'd like to be on my own until I'm 30, at least. But yeah, you're literally in a relationship. Why do people think like that? Like, well, I don't want to get married because I don't want to be tied down. You're literally dating someone. You are already tied down. You are already not allowed to be with other people. So, like, it just blows my mind. Wow. So there really are indecisive men like you. Oh, I don't have that much confidence in myself. Or, but I promise this doesn't mean I'm tired of you. Or, Suzuki-san really laying it on. Suzuki-san, do you have a bug planted on me? Look, confidence isn't something you're just born with, you know? You plunge into unknown territory, give it your all, and gradually build it up that way yourself. Suzuki-san's point was definitely fair. Not just fair, it totally makes sense. This is ticking me off. I wish men without any guts or motivation would just die off already. Suzuki-san, by any chance, did you and your boyfriend... Yes, I was wrong. We can stop talking about this. Oh, Suzuki-san. I'm so sorry for her. But the aura of actual experience that ignored the correctness of the point spoiled the value of those words. If you two have all this time to sit around talking about nothing, why don't I give you so much work for the rest of the year that you won't be able to go home at all? I told you I'm not accepting any more work today. Right, and I have plans with my girlfriend. Well, good work today. And so, shuddering at Suzuki-san's negative aura, Matsuoka-san and I picked up our bags and stood up in our seats. At that moment, a fateful sound rang out through the editorial department. No. Just no. What? Just because the phone rings after you're done your work doesn't mean you have to pick it up. And this is such a bad thing about Japanese work culture is, and I don't want to say it's bad to be dedicated, but it's bad to put off your home life and your health and your sleep and your food schedule and your friends and your wife. You don't put those things off just to work, like the company doesn't care about you as a person. The company will function whether you're there or not. They just need bodies. So come on. Hey, Kitahara, do you know about Matsuoka's law? I don't know, and I don't want to know. This always happens to me, without fail, and only at the times when I have important business and absolutely have to go home. New work just comes dancing in, as though I were being targeted specifically. In your case, Mat-chan, it's always the matter of discovering a deadline that you'd been neglecting. Anyway, if I take this, it's going to be a serious hassle. I know for a fact that I'll get some urgent job dropped on me, so it's better if I don't. No. Now that it had rung, the matter would be the same regardless of who picked it up. Suzuki-san. Busy. It's Christmas, but there's no end to my work. I've been abandoned by a man. I certainly don't have the time to take a phone call. Just leave. Just leave. I don't feel like being abandoned by a man made sense as a reason for being busy. Fine, I'll go ahead and take it, but Matsuoka-san, please don't run off. And so, getting up my grim resolve, I picked up the insistently ringing receiver. Hello, this is Kyograph Editorial Department. And yes, all right. Well, then, Kitahara. So, what was it? Last week, there was that minister of construction who was exposed by an insider for illegal contributions, right? Oh, but wait, at that level? Apparently, he just announced his resignation. There's a press conference being held right now. Oh, come on. If you hire only the bare minimum amount of people to hire breaking news stories, then that's it. You don't get to be the first to cover the breaking news stories. You don't get to throw it on the people who are already way past their working hours. That's stupid. That's like hiring the bare minimum amount of employees and then one gets sick and then the whole company crashes. That's what's happening right now. We couldn't possibly handle that whole thing with just the members we have here. And so we're going to contact every member of the editorial department. I need everybody's cooperation. But what about Christmas? This is perfect, right, Matsuoka-san? Now you have a fair excuse to turn down your girlfriend's invitation. It would seem God has heard my prayers. Yes, Christmas can die for all I care. And there it was. Once Matsuoka's law was put into effect, there was no stopping it. But what was I supposed to do now? Haruki is so stupid, and I mean that in the worst sense of the word. He couldn't keep the one promise. The one day of the year Setsuna was like, promise me you won't come home. Promise me you won't take extra work. Promise me. And he did. How many times is he going to lie? How many times is he going to put things above Setsuna's wishes? That's the biggest thing here. Just, God, I hate him. I'm so sorry. Please, please, please forgive me. When the absolute craziness around me calmed down the smallest bit, and I was finally able to get in touch with Setsuna, it was the moment that the date crossed over. Yes, Christmas Eve had now vanished. The press conference just ended. Now we have to write an article, switch it in. I'll probably be able to come home around 3 in the morning. I wasn't even sure whether Setsuna was actually on the other side of the line. So, for today, it would really help me out if you wrapped up dinner and put it in the fridge and just went ahead to bed, Setsuna. Having been betrayed, having been cheated on, especially on holidays, can you imagine? Oh, I'm working late. Oh, I have to miss the most romantic holiday of the year. What must be running through her mind? Like, how does she know he's not off with some girl? How does she have that trust? It's just disgusting to do that to a person. Because ever since the call connected, she hadn't said a word. Now, she was just sitting there, listening to my endless apologies. No, I didn't know whether she was actually listening at all. Setsuna. Just as I was starting to find myself at loose ends, the voice that I longed to hear finally came out of the receiver. I will be going home to my family as promised. Setsuna! Together with exactly the words that I had hoped, above all else, to avoid. Just kidding. Huh? I know that neither of us expected a big scoop to roll in that involved the entire staff, including your seniors and editor-in-chief. I mean, you're right, but neither did I imagine that I would end up having to go around and bow my head to every big store in the city. What are you talking about? A defect was found in the software we launched yesterday, so we had to recall all of it. Now, wait a minute. If I were in Setsuna's situation, I'm not sure I would be laughing about it the way she was now. At this hour, all of the stores are closed, and I couldn't go to any more of them to apologize, so I just got back to the main office. Isn't that hilarious? That's so disastrous that I can't even find any words for it. Aw, don't be so glum. For my part, all I can do is laugh. We made an absolute promise to each other that we would be home early today, and yet we both ran into uprisings of a level that happened only once a year. Like, you're lucky that this happened, but I still think the lack of communication was stupid. Why couldn't Haruki have sent a text earlier? And honestly, for Setsuna's part, she should have as well. I'm a little less mad at her because she's not the one that has always betrayed him. But yeah, they're both kind of in the wrong here. Hey, Haruki-kun? Let's meet up and go home together today. Once you're done over there, give me a call. I might be here until the trains start running again, though. It's the same for me, so why don't we take a taxi together? Yeah, all right. As couples went, we really were on exactly the same page. And so, at 3 in the morning, by the time I had finished writing the article, checked over Hamada-san's work, and stumbled exhausted out of the office, the air outside was already so cold that it wasn't funny. Welcome back, Haruki-kun. What a lucky man, after all that. But there, in the middle of the frigid night, waiting for me on the deserted sidewalk, perfectly still, was Setsuna, looking strangely as though she were enjoying herself. So, it really was work then? Huh? What's that supposed to mean? I explained it all to you, didn't I? It was a huge headache. Well, honestly, there was some tiny part of me that wondered whether or not you might just be making it up to make me feel better. Oh, Setsuna is so nice. I wouldn't put it past her. Making it up? I didn't know what I was going to do if it turned out you had long since gone home and were staring at the food while it got cold, feeling lonely. That could have come off as rude, in a sense, like I was painting this pathetic picture just to make fun of her. But, well, I did tell a lie like that once, a long time ago. A very, very long time ago, when our bond was weak, fragile, and full of mistaken worries on both sides. Man, I hate thinking about that. I hate thinking about her sitting alone at the dinner table with the meal she made, with the cake she made, and Haruki is off tromping around with Kazusat Lake. God, I feel so bad for Setsuna. And the fact that this is still coming up in regular conversation just means that they haven't really gotten over it. Setsuna's lie was meant to be considerate of me, but I wound up suffering for it later, and it thrust Setsuna herself into the depths of despair too. But I would never tell a lie like that now. There's no need. Yeah. Even after that, we continued making mistake after mistake. More like you made a lot of mistakes, but, you know. In order to eliminate the mistaken worries, we made a mistaken vow instead. We established a promise that we intended to keep, binding ourselves to each other with an obsession that would crush us if it were ever broken. But if it had come to it, I would have wanted to pin all the fault on you, Haruki-kun. Fault? The food, gradually going cold, my husband never giving me so much as a word, no matter how long I waited. Your waiting wife's anxiety steadily growing worse and worse. But I did contact you. I prostrated myself and apologized to you. Yeah, apologized more than 2 hours after you promised to be home. That doesn't count. Wow, really? You prostrated yourself? I wish you could have seen it. My sincerity was oozing out of my entire body. So, after that, we righted all of our mistakes. We established a promise that we intended to keep. And if it were ever broken, we would remain as we were. This was an oath we would swear to each other. No, we simply decided it. I mean, if you break a promise and then you stay together, that's not a good oath, because Haruki breaks promises all the time. Clearly, he still is. And here they are, they're still together, so it's kind of a toxic promise, honestly. Well, we're not going to get anywhere by chattering on here forever, so let's go. Yeah, let's find a taxi, then. Hey, Haruki-kun, it's too much of a pain to go home now. Why don't we stay in a hotel? What? Do you think there'll be any room, though? Since Yes, today was Christmas Eve, the day that hotels would be the most packed out of the entire year. Look, the usual 6 hours should be up soon, right? There should be people leaving. So 6 hours. She's talking about love hotels. And usually love hotels in Japan have like time limits from 2 to 6 hours. And once that time is up, you leave or you have to pay an exorbitant amount of extension fees. So she's talking about heading to a love hotel at 3 a.m. But are we supposed to start looking right now? Just call them one by one? Actually, Setsuna, don't tell me. There's a place just behind us. I called them earlier, and it turns out they've got one available room. What a sneaky woman. So, since this was the only one to take, I've already reserved it for us. We both have work tomorrow. If you're tired, you can just sleep. I'll restrain myself. No way. I can't restrain myself. Oh, well, in that case, we were sure to make this same promise every year from now on. We would try with all our might to keep it, but there would be times when we unraveled a little and weren't able to. And when that happened, we would make up immediately. And the next day we would be normal again, spending our days without dragging it out. We would keep on passing these Christmases, Setsuna's birthdays, my birthdays. I think they've really matured too in this sense because, I mean, to Setsuna Christmas Eve, that's a lot of memories there. The memory of going to that hotel and, Haruki looking at the magazine and seeing Kazusa and then their giant fight. But for her to immediately be like, hey, let's get a hotel and, be joking about it, it really just shows that she has started getting over things. Not completely, but enough to where she can live normally with Haruki, and that's good. That's important. Well, once we're done, we should still be able to sleep for about 2 hours. Come on, come on. Of course, we didn't get a wink of sleep. That was never even really an option. Oh, what a slightly pervy and beautiful ending there. So in the end, they did get to spend their Christmas Eve together, and I'm glad Setsuna wasn't left alone staring at the food getting cold. God, that would have been miserable. That really would have changed the entire after story. So we will stop off there for today and pick back up on chapter 3 next time. So thanks so much for joining me on this chapter of White Album 2, mini after story Setsuna's Route, and I'll be back with more content shortly. So until then, I hope you take care. See you.